Good afternoon, and thank you for coming. Much has been written and said recently about the SANS 360 saga. Before I head down that road, though, I think it is important to remind you of the distinguished history of SANS Secondary School. Let me first declare my double interest. Firstly, I'm a graduate of that institution. Before it was a middle school, and secondly, one of the founders of the school in 1927 to provide secondary education for black children in the West was my great-aunt, the legendary Nurse Ella Scott. She was a registered nurse who founded a nursing home and tennis club, a suffragette, and was one of the first women in Bermuda to run for a seat in Parliament. She became a legend in the West End after co-founding the SANS Secondary School. She was its driving force for many years, even mortgaging her own home in the early years to raise funds to keep the school open. No doubt that SANS 360, Bermuda Sports, Aquatic, and Enrichment Center, its full name, was started with those same intentions. A nonprofit organization and an active community center that offered a host of health development activities and other community programs. The center essentially catered to the community around the western end of the island. It started in 2002 with the objective of opening a swimming pool, a fitness center, and a gym to cater to the students of SANS Secondary Middle School, and was built on the school campus grounds. In its heyday, it grew far beyond a basic community center, enhanced all its facilities, and catered to several thousand members. Although it worked on membership, anybody, including visitors, could access the facilities by paying a daily rate. A variety of programs and activities were offered for all ages, including youth, adults, and seniors. It is important to remind of that historical background, since all the noise around the current situation suggests malintent. Notwithstanding, it ended in disaster. I'm going to now catalog events leading up to today, and I ask that particular note be taken of the dates that I mention. On the 22nd of December 2012, Trevor Munnis is appointed Minister of Public Works. On the 22nd of May 2013, the Minister holds a meeting with SANS trustees. On the 14th of November 2013, trustees are engaged KPMG to conduct a report. On the 3rd of April 2014, the KPMG report was delivered. On the 28th of May 2014, Pat Gordon-Pamplin was appointed the Minister of Public Works. On the 15th of January 2015, Craig Cannoner was appointed the Minister of Public Works. On or around the 16th day of December 2015, a direct quote from the Information Commissioner's report, a PADI request was made. 18th of July, of course, I was appointed the Minister of Public Works, and on the 27th of May 2019, the Information Commissioner's decision was issued. The former government rejected a PADI request to release the report, stating it was exempt from disclosure because it was provided in confidence. I will leave it to others to ask why a PADI request lied dormant for almost 3 years without even a whisper. Then suddenly in 2019, an order for its release is issued. I'm advised that Trevor Munnis at the May 2013 meeting agreed with the trustees to provide their grant funding if they commissioned the KPMG report to conduct a review, the cost for which was estimated in the engagement letter at between $120,000 and $150,000. With regard to the total funding for SANS 360, I'm advised further that funding came from a number of government entities. The request was referred to the Ministry of Finance, who have access to all government financial disbursements, and that is where that request lies. With all that said, I can report today that following further legal advice, consultation with the trustees in KPMG, I will instruct the Department of Public Lands and Buildings to release the redacted report electronically immediately following this conference. It is a 101-page report that those who wish to print it may do so. The redactions have been carried out in accordance with the directive of the Information Commissioner and all refer to personal information exclusions per Section 23(1) of the Paddy Act. Clearly, this is something that 2 OVA ministers at least could have resolved rather than the ridiculous circus they have engaged in of accusing the present government of hiding something, particularly in light of their recent utterances to release the report. I am pleased to release the report following the revised legal advice from the Attorney General's Chambers, who conducted the review. Thank you.
All right, that is it. Open up for questions. You want to start this one, and then turn it to Fiona, and then Dennis. Let's turn them off first.
I don't hold this subject to you.
Thank you, Minister. Fiona at the Royal Gazette. Just wanted to check, is it solely new or different legal advice that has changed your position on this?
Legal advice received today
Can you tell us what that was?
that the report could be released.
So it was, your understanding previously had been that it couldn't, and you've been
Well,
advised today that it's the case that it can.
I'm not going to get into the lawyer's mind, but the advice that I received previously was that the report could not be released because it wasn't commissioned or paid for by us. That advice has now changed, and so I'm following it as I did previously.
Sure. And what do you think then it will mean for members of the public once this
I don't
report's
think it'll
released?
mean a hill of beans, quite frankly. All of the information is already in the public domain. I think that certainly the thousands of people that use SANS 360 will be disappointed that we have not been able to get to a point where the facility can be reopened. Certainly I've had a number of requests and appeals from people who utilize the facility previously that if and when the government actually buys it would be interested in reopening it under a different set of circumstances and then being able to take advantage of using it.
Sure. And just with regards to some comments you made in House of Assembly last, I think it was early hours of Saturday morning, with regards to the most recent Information Commissioner's annual report of 2018, there was a list of figures that you had read out with regards to reasons for refusal for requests, and it seemed to be that you were suggesting that these were actually requests refused from the Information Commissioner. Just wanted to check if I think the question has been put to your Department of Communications that perhaps the inference that you'd made about those figures might not be quite accurate. Have you had time to clarify those figures at all?
I've had no requests from anybody that it might be accurate. The report is available online from the website of the Information Commissioner, and what you're suggesting, I was implying, is in fact incorrect. What I stated was that there were a number of requests for Paddy requests that were rejected by the former government. Mm-hmm. And so my point was that it's a normal course of events that you get requests and some are adhered to and some are not. And so the suggestion by both your newspaper and the opposition that my rejecting this particular request was unique and singularly outstanding is false.
My understanding is that those the numbers you had read out were reasons for refusals, and of course public authorities have the opportunity to make an initial refusal on a PATI request, but it's then up to the individual who's making the request to go to the Information Commissioner to seek an appeal to see if that decision can be changed, and that's obviously where we found ourselves at with regards to the SAN 360 report. I guess it's not necessarily a pattern of governments refusing requests, but it's public authorities initially.
Okay, public authorities. Is there a difference between the two?
Yeah,
public authorities are part of government, aren't they?
They certainly are, yes.
Right.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Any other questions as it relates to this particular? Yes, Dennis.
Minister, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You mentioned if and when
government might purchase the property.
That's correct.
Is the thought pattern that government does not want to do anything with the property until it owns it?
No, that's correct. That is correct. Sorry. We are not going to do anything. We don't have any legal authority to do anything with it until that matter is actually resolved. What has happened since the passage of the permission to purchase it in the House of Assembly is that the negotiations with HSBC have stalled as a result of a third party laying a claim to some indebtedness from the trustees of SANS 360. And until that is resolved, we cannot proceed, and we're not willing to do so until all matters are resolved and we have a clear hand and clear title to the property to then be able to decide what next to do with it.
So in essence, the controlling party of the property is the bank.
That's correct. They're owed, I think, in excess of $9 million.
Any thoughts what government would like to do with the property?
Plenty.
Including
None that I'm willing to share from this podium, because none of them have come to fruition. But what I will say from this podium is that a number of private individuals have expressed an interest in responding to any type of outreach that we may have in case we wanted to have a private sector entity run the facility.